in this week for several Broward County members of Congress was the ceremonial one following the real one in D.C. One of those is South Florida's only brand new, first-time congressman, but Jared Moskowitz takes his place on the Hill with a unique track record from a state career that had him in the spotlight more than a few times, which we will talk about with Congressman Jared Moskowitz here with us live here today. Mr. Congressman, welcome. Are you used to that title yet?
Well, I got to tell you, when I walk around the Capitol in Washington, it is a humbling experience. It's very surreal. You know, an office with your name on the door, being on the floor, and just a couple rows behind you is Nancy Pelosi. So I don't think it is set in. I feel like I'm like having the greatest internship of my life. But it is, it's pretty cool. You know, for all that Congress has been turned into a circus, there's still a lot of history and respect for voters that went into the ballot box and sent me to be their voice in the nation's capital.
And congratulations sincerely to you. You know, you've been on this program before as the Director of Emergency Management and as a state legislator and as, I think, a Broward commissioner you were here. But your trajectory has been so interesting because you spent, 6 years in Tallahassee as a state rep. You, as a pretty progressive Democrat, you got a lot of your Republican colleagues to vote on some pretty groundbreaking gun law. You had Governor Ron DeSantis, a very conservative governor, appoint you as the only Democrat in his administration. How are you going to take this kind of bipartisanship thing that you can do to D.C.? How do you sort of transport that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, my experience and trajectory is definitely not how I planned it when I first got into public service, and it's not what I recommend for other people who are looking to go into government. The way I approach things, Glenn, is very different than when I first got into this when I was 25 years old and got elected to a city commission as a law student. You know, I went through a horrific mass shooting in my district in the city of Parkland. I saw parents, you know, bury their kids. They visit those kids now at a cemetery because of the failures of what happened at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. And then obviously I was in charge of the pandemic. So you go through those really two experiences and you realize that a lot of the stuff that goes on in politics just doesn't matter. It's a lot of noise and it's performative. You know, it's everyone just trying to get on Fox or MSNBC or CNN. And they're saying what they think people want to hear or will get them clicks on social media. But it's not about passing legislation. It's not about helping people's lives. And to be quite honest, just my experience going through that, I just try to separate that out and I'll work with anybody. I've proven that if I believe we can, you know, work together for the common good. And so I'm not naive. Washington is different. We get up there, we're divided into two teams. You know, there is no mingling that goes on between the two sides. We're divided. We have, you know, lunch separately. We have different, basically, social events in the evening. But I'm going to make an effort to try to not only, you know, meet people on my side of the aisle, but meet people on the other side of the aisle that are looking to make progress for the American people.
Yeah. So I look to see, I don't see you on any committees yet. Are you on a committee yet?
So because it took so long for them to get a speaker, you know, we're not just a week behind, we're a month behind because they should have picked committees a while ago. So we still don't have committees. In fact, we still don't have ratios. Yeah. Figuring out how many Democrats or Republicans will be on each committee. So I don't yet have committee assignments. Hopefully that'll be done by the end of the month.
But you are a vice chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. Let me segue that in a horrible way today, right now, in Los Angeles, right outside Los Angeles. There's an investigation going on of a mass shooting overnight. And here are some pictures that are just into the newsroom of that. 10 people died at what sounds like a party in a ballroom type place by a mass shooter. They were celebrating the Lunar New Year. If the Associated Press is right, this is the 5th mass shooting this year, which is hardly 3 weeks old. You know, I remember you riveting everyone on the floor of the House after Parkland and sort of just, you could hear a pin drop while you made your floor speech about why these gun measures should be put in place. People did that across the board for you, and it took a catastrophe in your hometown. Frame what you see possible in the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force this year.
Well, listen, you know, Washington last year passed the first gun violence prevention, gun control legislation in 30 years. Breaking that logjam was very important. That bill was necessary, not sufficient. One of the things we did in Florida after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas is we obviously invested into mental health counselors in our high schools and school resource officers in all of our schools. But we raised the age to 21 to buy a gun, which we felt would be instrumental in preventing, or I should say reducing, mass shootings. So we'll have to see all the details that come out of this. Obviously, it's another horrific event that we see too often in this country. We're becoming desensitized, where this would be national news for days and days, and now you don't even necessarily get a breaking news when 10 people go to an event and don't go home. That's 10 families that are broken. That's 10 empty chairs at a dinner table, or 10 empty bedrooms in a home. Those parents, those kids, are now broken because all they did was go out to have fun with their friends, and they were in the wrong place at the wrong time because some crazy person was able to get access to a gun too easy. And so that's where red flag laws can come into effect. And I really do believe that that's where the conversation can center with people who, are too afraid to do anything on guns. I mean, I'm not interested in inhibiting people's Second Amendment rights, but I think we can all agree that crazy people shouldn't have guns, or guns shouldn't be so easy to get that crazy people can get them. And that's where red flag laws, which we put into place in Florida, we were like the 7th state in the nation to do that. They've been used over 9,000 times. They're dramatically supported by sheriffs around the state, Democrat and Republican. And one of the lessons that I want to tell the folks in Washington is that here in Florida, we had a Republican House, a Republican Senate, 8+ NRA rated members in the legislature. We had a Republican governor. They voted for gun violence prevention to reduce gun violence, and not a single one of them lost their reelection. In fact, they were all reelected. And so this idea that we can't do anything that doesn't inhibit Second Amendment rights, but does protect kids and people more than we're doing today without paying a political repercussion, just not true. We saw that here in Florida, and I'm hoping to tell that story in Washington.
Yeah, great point. Before I let you go today, in the minute we have left, another breaking news today. Right now, Vice President Kamala Harris is in Tallahassee. I think we have some cameras there we might be able to take either now or a bit later on the news, but she's there to mark the 50th anniversary of Roe versus Wade, and now 7 months after those national protections for abortion were overturned. She is going to be presenting a presidential memo today. Nationally, the Biden administration trying to make medicinal abortions available and accessible. I know you put out a statement on this anniversary today, too. Where do you see that going nationally?
Well, listen, it's been a loser for the Republicans. I mean, from a political standpoint. They thought they were going to have some huge red wave in the country, and they didn't. And I think partly not only was that blunted by the fact that they nominated a lot of crazy people and a lot of people voted for normal, but I also think young people and women voted in dramatic numbers because of the overreach of the court. I mean, here's a 50-year-old law. Every justice over the last, decade and a half came before the Senate under oath and said, oh, it's precedent on precedent, and, no one's interested. They told senators in private meetings they weren't interested in getting rid of Roe v. Wade, and they lied. They lied under oath, knowing full well at the first chance that they got that they would undo that. And so I'm very worried about, where we're going as a country in this aspect. Women absolutely have a right to control their own bodies. I don't get it. My Republican colleagues and friends who used to be for small government and government, less government intervention and government in the bedroom. I mean, where are those people? Because all we do now is see Republicans wanting to expand government in your lives, government in your bedroom, government in your body, especially when it comes to women. And so I'm deeply concerned about that. And that's why, we have to codify reproductive freedom and rights into law so that, judicial activists, judges don't undermine, our right to privacy.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, D23, it is so good to have you aboard, and we look forward to what you do, and you'll come back and tell us all about it pretty often, I hope.
Good to be with you, Glenna. Thank you.
Thank you.